What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another day of the Ultra. Today we have with us Brother Luke Martin. And Luke is actually going to be going with us all the way through Proverbs, going to be journeying alongside us. So Luke, always glad to have you. He is, I just want to mention this. He has his jacket on today. We're actually shooting this. Oh, it's probably the 8th of December, so it's pretty cold. But that jacket he has on, he's like, dude, feel this. How heavy is it? Like 1 gram or something like that?
I don't know.
It's incredibly light. I mean,
ounces.
it's crazy light. So, that being said, you're still watching this. It's probably a little chilly outside. We'll leave a link in the description where you can find something like that. But so glad to have you. We're in Proverbs chapter 1 through 5, and Luke's going to kind of lead us off with what he got from Proverbs chapter 1. But maybe before you say that, let me ask you a question. Maybe give us a little bit of background. Who wrote Proverbs? A little bit about who wrote it. Who's it to? And what's the main purpose of the book? You know, what genre maybe?
Almost the entirety Solomon. A few chapters at the end.
Good point.
What is his name?
Lamech, King.
Lamech. That's
Uh-huh.
right. Actually, one of my favorite ones Lamech wrote. Solomon, obviously the wisest man that's ever lived. Son of David. David's actually my favorite character in the Bible other than Jesus, so I'm kind of deep into David and Solomon in my study, in my mind throughout my life. Solomon just dropped pretty much, to me, Proverbs is a book. When I speak to somebody that I feel like hadn't been in church or doesn't know hadn't been in church their whole life, I tell them maybe read through John, James, and Proverbs. Proverbs.
That's a really good
to me
suggestion.
is hey, this is a check off list. Do
Dang,
this,
that's
don't do
good.
this. Really simple, really simple.
So that's a good little bit of, I mean, if you're trying to talk to somebody about what books to read, I'm just beginning to read the Bible. I mean, every book of the Bible is very important. We're not saying that it's
Right,
not.
that's
Absolutely very important. But if you're starting somewhere, John, James, and Proverbs will give you a very good, solid foundation to kind of grow from there. So really good advice. But what did you get? What kind of genre would you say Proverbs is? I think most people probably would say it's a more wisdom based on more, this is the do's and the not to do's, kind of like you said, but it gives you a lot of practical advice, wisdom on how to do business deals, how to do right relationships with friends, not to all this, just kind of practical. If you go by this book, people are going to look at you and be like, man, how to do life. They're going to say, man, you're a wise person. I mean, really. So, I mean, I think that's one of the great things about Proverbs. But I know you read 1 through 5, and so if you want to tackle maybe a couple of the verses
That being
stood
said,
out.
wisdom 1 through 4 is wisdom. I put down 1 through 4. Wisdom. Get it, chase it, keep it, share it. I took down the definition of wisdom based on Oxford, and it is quality of having experience, knowledge, and good judgment. That's all it had to say. I spoke to the youth about this actually a few weeks ago, and I feel like wisdom, well, with that definition, is a knowledge base, but you can learn knowledge from a book. You can't. Wisdom is. I'm not going to say you can't learn it. Obviously, books help wisdom, but wisdom is adding the experience and the life with the knowledge into the brain and your mode of functioning.
So what did you say? You said get it, keep it, chase it,
Keep it, chase it, and share it.
and share it. That's good.
The whole first 4 chapters, and several as we're going to go through the end of it, go back to wisdom, 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 wisdom. And that's another thing I liked about Proverbs is some of the chapters will be like, each verse is like right, wrong, right, wrong, right, wrong, or righteous, evil, but it'll repeat, over and over and over in that chapter, which again is why I feel like that's good for someone that's new, because it's making it concrete in their mind over and over and over and over and over. I just read this wisdom, wisdom, wisdom. Chapter 5, I picked out a verse. Let's go to it. I picked out a particular verse in chapter 5, verse 11.
In the end, you will groan in anguish when disease consumes your body.
That's not right. I'm reading that like, am I in the right book?
Welcome to the Ultra, everybody. Oh no. Well, while you find out, you're kind of talking about wisdom. One that stood out to me a lot was verse 7 of chapter 3. It said, "Don't be impressed by your own wisdom, but instead fear the Lord and turn from evil." Because I think sometimes I can be impressed with, if I do something that I think maybe is like, surprises me even. I'm like, "Hey, wow, that was really good. I'm so surprised that I did that. That's good." And sometimes I can be impressed with something that I think I did that was right or wise or whatever. And what that's saying is, like, that's the farthest thing from wisdom that you can possibly be if you think yourself wise, unless you fall, right? Like, the pride comes before the fall. So it really kind of spoke to me as I'm trying to really lean on God, lean on Him, and not think myself wise. I think that's a trap. Did you?
I just talked this morning with the youth about.
Why does that always happen?
I don't know.
Every single, he's like, man, we were just preaching on that.
It's not exactly wisdom, but the pride trap. We were speaking on prayer in Matthew 17, and I've always struggled with this. Maybe you don't. I have my whole life. God will show me great things in prayer, and there's such a razor's edge to me between powerful faith and look at me. Look what I just prayed for. Y'all need to be calling me. I got this. Because God will let me see one powerful thing after another with prayer. And I get excited, but then always in the back of my mind, I try to fight, and I'm like, here comes that pride. And I think, look at me. I'm a prayer warrior.
Yeah.
And then I feel like God's like, okay, you want to start over? Because you're not listening. You're not getting this. It's
Right.
me, not you.
Right.
And then I'll have to go back. Same thing there. It's and it's so hard. I've told the youth this 2 or 3 times, even since I've been here, and I don't really know an answer to give them how to battle it. How do you have so much faith that God says you can do anything through prayer, but then stop right there and not think at all ever? Look
with the prayer that I just prayed.
Yeah,
God, I must be righteous because God surely answered my prayer.
That's a hard line for me. Maybe, hopefully, you're not struggling with that, but I always have, and it seems like I get lessons to start over every time, which I am deserving that, I guess.
So one of the things that I was kind of looking at, we've been kind of trying to find the verse, but one of the things that I know happens in chapter 5 is actually the first chapter that's all about one specific thing. Like chapter 4, chapter 1, chapter 2 and 3, they're all about random, sporadic kind of phrases or clauses. But then you have chapter 5, and it kind of stays on the road, and it's talking about the road of an immoral woman, and how to run from that, and how to cling to your wife. And so just jokingly, we ought to, like, for real, it's not really a joke, but really we should, go to our spouse, whether that's your husband or your wife or whatever, and it says, kind of the fountain, the wife of your youth, and just say, hey, give encouraging words. Hey, you're beautiful. Hey, whatever it is to your spouse, and kind of be an uplifting encouragement to that. I think that's really important. But that's all we have for today. And chapters 1 through 5, it's a lot of different things. We're going to give you a little bit more information as we go. Proverbs tomorrow will be chapter 6 through chapter 10. And so we'll see you back. Luke, enjoyed having you as always. And we will see y'all tomorrow with the rest of the chapters. And until then, peace.